If you tuned in last week, you will know that I am on a mission to make the best epic only Hydra team that I can possibly make on my account, and we're going to see just how far we can push it on whatever difficulty we can actually make it happen on. Last week we went over one of my favourite DPS champs in the entire game, and that was Fayne. This week we're going to bring in a really solid debuffer and just all-round team support. Let's go. So this should come as a surprise to pretty much no one. This is arguably one of the best Hydra epics that you can actually get your hands on. It is Uugo. We're going to go over her kit. We're going to use her in a bit of content, and I'm just going to talk about why she's going to be so integral to our Hydra team. But guys, before we go ahead, speaking of Uugo, there is a new player promo link. It's waiting for you in the pinned comment and the description of this video. It's going to get you off to a solid head start in Raid with the likes of Elenaril, Fayne, Uugo and Tagoar as you level up your account. Here's what you need to do. You'll need to log out of Plarium Play on your PC and uninstall the game. Click the link in the description and register with a brand new email address. Launch Raid, complete your tutorial, go to your inbox and claim your first free champion. This is a good one, you don't want to miss it. So here she is. She may not be the best looking champ, but you know, I'm a drummer and she appears to be a drummer. She's got her maracas and her big drum on her back. Why are we bringing her into this squad? Very, very simple. We're going to go over her skills here. Her A1 has a chance of putting out a leech. Now, when it comes to epic champions, getting really reliable healers is not the easiest thing to do. So that is going to help us just a little bit of passive healing. A2 is where the magic happens. It's an AoE hit that pretty much has a 100% chance of putting out decreased defense and block buffs. Now, just like Fayne, the block buffs is not 100%. This only goes up to 75%. However, with this little caveat here, the chance of placing the block buffs increases by 5% for each alive enemy. So she's going to be at 95%. And we're going to get her that extra 5% using masteries, which we'll go over in a little bit. Now, her A3 is going to be pretty much one of the main heals on the team. It removes any heal reduction that you might get put on you, then heals all allies, and the heal is based off of her own HP. So if we make her tanky, she's going to put out more heals. If all allies are dead, hopefully we're not going to get to that point, she can then revive them, give them 50% HP, and fill their turn meters. Pretty cool. Works kind of in conjunction very nicely with her passive, and it just makes her more likely to get to her revive so that we don't just get eaten or wiped out by the Hydra. So it's quite a simple kit, but it's incredibly effective. Let's think about how we might want to build her. As I always say, we know what the kit is doing, so what is this champ going to need? Well, at the end of the day, she's a debuffer, so speed and accuracy are just going to be the #1 priority. I've got more accuracy than I will ever need. That's 547. It's just kind of how the gear came out. I might change this a little bit to be more Hydra specific. Maybe I will sacrifice some of that accuracy, get a bit more resistance, and maybe bump up her max HP because that just means more heals. She's at 284 speed, very fast. She's got 343 resistance. That is really going to help just because, you know, if a debuffer is being controlled, then they're not doing their job. That's incredibly important. We've got the accuracy, we've got a lot of HP, we've got a lot of defense. She's essentially incredibly tanky. Now, in terms of gear set, I decided to go with Affinity Breaker. She is going to be my main debuffer, and that's going to be covering block buffs and decreased defense. So I don't want to be landing weak hits. Obviously, they are going to happen because affinity is a thing, but this will hopefully reduce my chances of missing those hits, especially when we go up against the Head of Blight. I do not want it putting Poison Cloud out on all the Hydra heads. That is a massive pain, especially if we've just put decreased speed on them. That's going to be a real problem. So I think Affinity Breaker or Uugo in Hydra arguably might be the best set we could put on her. I could also consider, because I am over the accuracy cap, I might slightly rejig this and go for 4-piece Affinity Breaker and 4-piece Merciless. Now, I've spoken about Merciless before. It's an incredibly powerful set, not just for DPS champions, but instead for support champions. Just the 4-piece alone, 30% chance to decrease a random skills cooldown by 1 turn when dealing damage. I want her to be throwing out her A2 as many times as possible. That could really help. That's something I might consider when we actually move into the final episode where we take the team for a spin. But for now, I'm going to leave her as she is built. She's incredibly solid and I know that she just works. Let's talk about masteries. Now, you could definitely go down the offense tree because ultimately Hydra is about squeezing as much damage as you can. However, I've opted to make her pretty much immune to anything the Hydra can do to her. So the main thing I really wanted to get was the extra 50 resistance. That's very important. We've also got 10 resistance extra up here from the Defiant Mastery. Now I've went with improved parry just in case anyone gets crit. It's not super useful for Hydra, but just anything to survive. All of her skills in the defense tree are just around healing, survivability. We've also gone down the support tree for accuracy. I've put Master Hexer on because anytime that you can get the debuffs extended, that's really good. And also Sniper because that brings her 95% chance up to 100. Very, very important. Cycle of Magic to refresh cooldowns. And we've got Law of Steel because we just want as many stats as possible. Very, very simple, typical sort of tanky support build. Nothing crazy. Like I say, you could go down offense, but she's not my DPS. I'm not going to try and get DPS out of her. That's not what she's here for. Okay, let's talk about relic choices. I've opted for the Gilded Dragonstone simply because looking at these stats here, she needs all three. We got defense, brilliant, resistance, brilliant, HP, brilliant. Obviously the HP is going to help out her heal in the long run. I don't have a fantastic set of gemstones. I've had a little look, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go for this one, which is going to make Destroy HP less effective against her. I think that's probably a very solid choice. We're going to go with a bit of that because some of the heads do reduce your max HP. As far as circular gemstones go, I don't really have a lot that I think is going to benefit her majorly. I'm probably not going to bring a designated turn meter booster into the team, otherwise I would have gone with invigorated. I'm probably just going to go for critical bolster for now. This is all subject to change, but we're going to pop that on her. We're going to actually upgrade this because I haven't put any points into it. If we take the rank up, we will get a bit of resistance. Let's do that now. There you go. I'm not going to take it much further yet. If I decide that this is the right relic for her, then maybe I'll continue to invest. But for now, I think this is looking good. So let's use her in a little bit of content and just kind of see what makes her so good. Then we'll take her for a spin in Hydra and see what she can do. Right, here we go. Nothing crazy. I brought Donatello back in because I'm really enjoying using him at the moment. We've got Phoenix, we've got Wukong, we've got Mithrala, and we have got Uugo. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put Hex out on everyone with Mithrala, and here we go with Uugo. It's her AoE, decreased defense and block debuffs. Hopefully that goes on everyone. It does. Now everyone is debuffed up. We can come in with Wukong and let's just see if we can one-shot the wave. Who's got the lowest health? Probably this guy. Didn't quite one-shot, but it's looking good. We're going to clean up with Phoenix and I will see you at the boss. Okay, here we are at the boss, and I'm just going to kind of mainly use A1 so that we can get the good stuff out from Uugo. Now once again, we're going to use her AoE, decreased defense and block buffs. That's going to stop the dragon getting increased attack. And I'm hoping that the dragon's going to hit us really hard and put a bunch of poison on us, and then we can see the other reason Uugo is in the squad. So we're going to just chip away at the boss, try and bring him down as quickly as possible. Those big Phoenix hits. Right, so now we should take a hit from the boss and hopefully get some poisons out. Well, we got a few, but we've got a lot of resistance, so a lot of it got denied. That's fine. What we're going to use Uugo for now is her A3, and that's just going to remove one debuff from everyone and give them a heal. Let's just watch that. There we go. Nice big heal. You can't really go wrong. Just going to reset some cooldowns and get the dragon down as quickly as possible. We've also got Leech Out from Uugo as well, which is very cool. It just means whenever anyone smacks the dragon, they're going to get a little bit of healing. It might not seem like a lot, but it is all going to add up in the end. So last few hits, let's take him down. Phoenix is probably going to finish the job. Bang, there we go. She's an incredibly useful utility champ. You know, she's not going to like blow you away with big numbers because that's not what she's here for. She's just here to help my team survive no matter really what my team comes up against. So I don't think there's actually anywhere you couldn't use Uugo. She would work in pretty much every dungeon, every keep. You could probably use her in Fire Knight as well, but again, like I said in the last video, you'd probably need to seriously ramp up your speeds in order to do it. You could definitely use her in Sand Devil as well as Shogun. So let's take her for a spin in Hydra because ultimately That's what this whole series is about. I'm going to throw together a little team and we'll see what we can get out of her. So I'm going to use pretty much exactly the same team I used for last week's test. In this team, we're going to obviously sacrifice a whole ton of damage because I've actually replaced a DPS with a debuffer. Here's how I've got it set up. We're going to prioritize her A2 because we want to get that decreased defense and block buffs out as often as possible. And then the second priority is going to be her heal and kind of cleanse. She's got the decreased defense. Hatta's got the weakness. Like I say, we're going to be quite down on the damage, but let's throw her in and see what happens. Okay, here we go. We're just going to start with an A1 so that nobody gets feared. We obviously want Duchess to protect us from that. Now here we go with Uugo. Now we have got 2 Force Affinity heads out, but you know, that's why we put the Affinity Breaker set on her. Hopefully this will land. It does. It doesn't land on the green head typically, but that is absolutely fine. We don't need to worry about any provokes at the moment. We're just going to get as many debuffs out as possible and try and do as much damage as humanly possible. I want to see if I can get rid of the Head of Blight because that Poison Cloud is really annoying and it's probably going to end up on the Head of Torment because of that missed debuff. It did. It's a shame, but what can you do? We've got no debuffs to remove as of yet because the Hydras haven't really taken their turn and they haven't really hurt us yet. Plus we're still shielded, so we're just going to keep going with the A1. I'm attacking the wrong affinity head because I'm hoping that the Affinity Breaker set is going to kind of shine through. But what I'm going to do is, just like the last video, I'm going to cancel out of this. I'm going to throw it in a quick battle and hopefully we will be able to compare the results, just sort of see what she's capable of doing. Here we go. It went the whole way. We survived the 1000 turns. Now you'll see she's not doing a whole lot of damage, but she's done a whole lot of healing. And that is really why she's going to be in our squad. Like I said, she's not glitzy and glamorous, you know, she's not the world's best looking champ, but in terms of her performance and the just overall survivability and utility she brings to the team, she is going to be pretty irreplaceable. So I know this video wasn't as exciting as seeing huge numbers on a DPS, but she's going to be so integral to our squad that it would be criminal to actually not use her. I'd argue she is probably the best, like hands down, the best epic that you could bring into Hydra. So I'm not going to keep this result because I think we can do better off camera. So that is it for today's video, probably a little bit shorter than the last one. Hopefully I have shown you that there is a lot of utility to be had. And as I've said in so many of my other videos, it's not all about DPS. DPS is great. Big numbers are incredibly sexy. We all love to see it. But if your DPS are being controlled or they're dead, well, they can't do their job. That's why lifeline style champions, you know, your debuffers and your supports, they are going to be what carries any of your team to success. So thank you very much for tuning in yet again. I'll launch another one next week and we'll bring in a 3rd champion. I'm thinking about picking what healer I'm going to bring in. So we've got a few options and I've got a few days to work out what I'm going to do. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more. Please feel free to check out the previous video. It was really good fun to make. I will see you on the next one.